everybody, or good afternoon rather. I guess it's not morning anymore.
I was wondering if you can expand on whether you guys think that
we at this time have not made an assessment that that the Israelis are in violation of U.S. law. But most importantly, we are going to continue to watch how these steps that they've taken, how they are being implemented, how that they can be continued to be expanded on. And through that, we're going to continue to assess their compliance with U.S. law.
your answers today, such as they are, as anything other than kind of giving them a pass for?
No one is up here, certainly I'm not, saying that the situation in Gaza or the humanitarian circumstances are rosy. It is a very dire circumstance, and what we need to see is we need to see these steps acted on. We need to see them implemented, and the ultimate hope is that through these steps, some conditions have been created in which we can see things like additional aid, additional food trucks, additional measures being taken that ultimately will be beneficial to the Palestinian people in Gaza. That's what we aim to see.
It would be based on the results on the ground that have not borne out.
We want to see the totality of the humanitarian situation improve, and we think some of these steps will allow the conditions for that to continue to progress.
Or non-assessment that they are in violation.
And should we see something that is inconsistent with U.S. law, we will take appropriate action.
We have these continuous assessments, continuous improvements, even though all of those demands haven't been met.
Today, I can confirm that over 10,000 DPRK soldiers have been sent to eastern Russia, and most of them have moved to the far western Kursk Oblast, where they have begun engaging in combat operations with Russian forces.
Let me just say this, that the government of Israel takes extremely seriously the letter sent just shy of a month ago to the Israeli government from Secretary Austin and Secretary Blinken. We take extremely seriously the contents of that letter. We have studied it intensely. We have acted upon it with the best will that we can to get as much aid, which is why we say every single day there is no limit to the amount of aid that can get into Gaza. So we are doing our utmost. I showed you 900 trucks worth of aid that simply languishes in the sun at Kerem Shalom. This is aid which the UN should have picked up and should have delivered. They have not. The failings are not with Israel. We are willing to get as much aid as possible through. If countries send the aid will go in after it has been inspected. That is our objective. Israel is increasing the volume and the routes of aid into Gaza. Today, the Kisufim crossing was open to get more humanitarian aid trucks in. That means more food, more water, more medical supplies, and more shelter equipment to central and southern Gaza. All of Israel's efforts are fully in accordance with international law. A total of 1,122,000 tons of humanitarian aid have gone into Gaza on 57,000 trucks and 10,000 pallets. Now, over the last day in northern Gaza, in Jabalia and Beit Hanun, hundreds of food packages and thousands of litres of water have been delivered. These have gone to Gazan civilians still remaining in Beit Hanun in cooperation with international aid organisations. This was in addition to last week's 11 trucks of food, water and medical supplies to the Jabalia camp. Let me give you a roundup of the picture since October. 741 aid trucks have been delivered to northern Gaza via the Erez West crossing. In coordination with the World Health Organization, 244 patients and their companions have been evacuated from hospitals in northern Gaza over the last month, and 50,000 litres of fuel, 180 blood units, hundreds of boxes of medical supplies and food have been delivered to support hospitals in northern Gaza.
Famine is imminent, if not already happening, in the besieged north.
This is the stark warning on Gaza that came from a UN agency on Tuesday.
Aid supplies have worsened, they have lessened. The month of October, it was an average of 37 trucks a day into the Gaza Strip. 37 trucks a day for a population of 2.2 million people who need absolutely everything. It's not enough.
Louise Wateridge is the Senior Communications Officer for the United Nations Relief Works Agency, or UNRWA. She spoke from Gaza to a press briefing in Geneva.
Children are dying. People are dying every day. We need more.
She says aid trucks into the Strip had fallen in October, and that no food was allowed to enter northern Gaza for an entire month. Israeli forces have been pushing deeper into North Gaza for more than a month, surrounding hospitals and shelters, and creating fresh waves of displacement. They say the operation is designed to prevent Hamas fighters from regrouping there. On October 13th, the United States tried to intervene, telling its ally Israel in a letter that it must take steps to improve the aid situation in war-ravaged Gaza within 30 days, or face potential restrictions on U.S. military aid. Israel has been rushing to meet those demands, and on Monday said it had met most of them. But international groups, including Oxfam and Save the Children, said it failed in a 19-page report on Tuesday. Wateridge responded too.
Anything that happens now is already too late. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been killed senselessly. They have been killed because there is lack of aid, because the bombs have continued, and because we have not been able to even reach them under the rubble.
This week, the outgoing U.S. administration is expected to judge whether Israel has done enough to get more aid flowing into Gaza.
The Famine Review Committee has found a strong likelihood that famine is occurring or imminent in areas within the northern Gaza Strip. Men, women, boys, and girls are effectively starving as the conflict rages. Already in October, nearly 133,000 people faced catastrophic food insecurity, and the integrated food security phase classification released on 17th of October warned that under a reasonable worst-case scenario, a risk of famine existed for the whole of the Gaza Strip between November 2024 and April 2025. By the time famine has been declared, people are already dying of hunger, with irreversible consequences that can last generations. The window of opportunity to deliver this assistance is now, today, not tomorrow.
Mr. Paulson for his briefing.
Turning specifically to the situation in northern Gaza, the latest report from the respected and independent Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, the IPC, warns there is a strong likelihood that famine is imminent.
Thank Ms. Brans-Keres for her briefing. I now give...
Most of Gaza is now a wasteland of rubble. What distinction was made and what precautions were taken if more than 70% of civilian housing is either damaged or destroyed? Essential commercial goods and services, including electricity, have been all but cut off. This has led to increasing hunger, starvation, and now, as we have heard, potentially famine. We are witnessing acts reminiscent of the gravest international crimes. Our capacity to respond is being undermined, including by the Israeli Knesset legislation to ban UNRWA activities starting in January. If implemented, this bill will be another devastating blow to efforts to provide life-saving aid and avert the threat of famine. No other organization can fill these gaps.
There being no objection, it is so decided.
Israel has taken some important steps, including restoring aid deliveries to the north. Still, Israel must ensure its actions are fully implemented and its improvements sustained over time. Only a sustained flow of assistance, coupled with restoration of basic services, including health and nutrition activities, healthcare and water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure, can alleviate the catastrophic levels of food insecurity found in the IPC report. And so we repeat the urgent importance of Israel pausing implementation of legislation targeting UNRWA. And we continue to reiterate there must be no forcible displacement nor policy of starvation in Gaza, which would have grave implications under U.S. and international law.
Mr. President.
Госпожа председатель, отказываясь прекращать свою карательную операцию против палестинских женщин и детей в Газе, Израиль еще и продолжает, несмотря на многочисленные призывы со стороны международного сообщества, ограничивать поставки гуманитарной помощи. Нет никакого смысла считать количество работающих погранпереходов, потому как даже если какие-то из них формально функционируют, их пропускная способность крайне незначительна. Данные на сегодняшний день это наглядно иллюстрируют. Речь идет о самом минимальном объеме завозимых гуманитарных грузов в анклав с момента начала военной операции. Среднесуточная норма всего 58 грузовиков, что ничтожно мало в контексте текущих потребностей. За год с лишним, прошедших с момента трагических событий 7 октября, потакающий Израиль и Вашингтон должен разделить с Западным Иерусалимом вину за гибель более 43 тысяч палестинцев, в том числе от исправно поставляемого в регион американского оружия, а также умерших от голода и от инфекционных заболеваний.
Mr. President.
Everything we warned against, everything Israel denied, is happening before our eyes. We are at the last stages of an orchestrated plan to empty wide areas of Gaza from its Palestinian population and to inflict upon the Palestinian civilian population conditions that would lead to its destruction if it refused to leave. Israel tells us trucks are entering and crossings are open and markets are flourishing, or blames others for the siege it is imposing, while the UN, humanitarian NGOs, and all states around the world are saying the opposite, that aid is not allowed in, and when allowed in, is prevented from reaching the people that need it. That starvation has prevailed by design, that forcible displacement is taking place. Who should be believed? The rights of Palestine refugees to return and their status is not subject to the existence of any agency. So if Israel thinks that by trying to destroy UNRWA, it can get rid of this issue, it is mistaken. Our right to return is a cornerstone of our rights, and it is rooted in international law.
It is an exercise in slander, disguised as humanitarian concern. The IPC's latest report echoes one of the most unfounded, slanderous accusations against the State of Israel throughout this conflict. The IPC's own figures show that the situation in Gaza, including in the north, is more stable now than it was before October. How could they claim a famine is imminent while at the same time providing figures of an improving situation? The IPC claims that Gaza's food distribution infrastructure is failing. Israel has been proactive in supporting Gaza's food supply chain. With 3 million pita loaves produced daily, we have ensured stable access to bread for the population. Additionally, 6 tankers of cooking gas have recently entered Gaza to sustain essential infrastructure.
Israel for their statement, and I now give the floor.
وتهدد المجاعة قطاع غزة، نشهد تدهوراً في الأوضاع الإنسانية وزيادة في أعداد المفتقدين للأمن الغذائي في سوريا ولبنان، خاصة بين النازحين الذين تخطى عددهم 1,200,000. وقد حذر المقرر الخاص للأمم المتحدة المعني بالحق في الغذاء السيد مايكل فخري من تكرار سيناريو تجويع الشعب الفلسطيني في لبنان، مشيراً إلى أن إسرائيل لديها القدرة على تجويع لبنان كما فعلت مع الفلسطينيين في غزة.